Hello all and welcome back. I hope you're all doing really well. Thank you again for the recent support on yesterday's video. I love interacting with all you guys and sharing those opinions I have. That being said, please make sure you're subscribed to this channel and you're also following me over on Twitter, posting out content on the daily, lots of stuff as well that I reshare on Twitter, information-wise, that I cover in these videos so you guys get the inside scoop first. We're sort of approaching 1,200 subscribers now. So hit that 1,000 subscriber milestone a little while ago, and we are continuing to grow, which is fantastic to see. I'll be bringing you all the news in the Hedera ecosystem, especially once DeFi drops. We are very close now. The wait is almost over, and I think a lot of us will be very happy once that total value locked metric comes to Hedera. Anyway, that being said, let's just sort of jump straight into this. As I've been warning you guys anyway, we were approaching that greed side on the Fear and Greed Index. So we hit a 60 on the 28th of March. And we've retraced now on the Fear and Greed Index to about 50. Please bear in mind, obviously, that the Fear and Greed Index is a great macro tool. However, it is obviously a bit of a lagging indicator, so to speak. However, we may fall back more towards the bearish territory in the coming days. Obviously, the crypto markets at the moment are taking a bit of a retracement, and that's completely normal. You know, there are cycles to these markets. Nothing ever goes up 100,000% constantly. You know, it doesn't happen. There will be pullbacks along the way, and these are great times to continue averaging into your positions or potentially looking to take profit if the project has had a bit of a run and you're no longer aligned with where it's going in the future. That being said, I'm continuing to buy around these neutral territories. If we see a bit of a pullback towards the bearish side, a fantastic opportunity to average in a little bit more before we hit that altcoin season, where everything is probably going to explode during the summer. Again, none of this is financial advice. You guys need to make sure you're doing your own research. So I'm not qualified, and nothing that I say is financial advice. If we actually flick over and we look at Twitter now for some of this stuff, some interesting news has just been shared about India. So some new laws have just come into place regarding crypto tax, and it's pretty absurd in the region. 30% on capital gains, no carrying forward of losses. So if a lot of you guys are aware, particularly within the UK and I think Europe and probably the US, any losses in previous fiscal periods, you can actually carry those forward to offset them against any capital gains in future periods. India is for some reason omitting this on crypto tax, which is quite a big burden. So you've got no loss offsetting as well. So forget other asset classes, but across the other digital assets, 1% TDS on all trading. We're stifling innovation and shooting ourselves in the foot multiple times. I think that's a really good analogy of what's going on here, particularly as well as we see India becoming more and more of a global superpower. Don't forget, they have a population that's larger now, I think, than China. It's got the largest population in the world, and they are developing as an economy very rapidly. Them imposing high tax measures like this may see a lot of the wealthy individuals within these realms potentially leave the country to more tax favoring nations. So interesting stance from India there. Talking about that and talking about what I just mentioned with the crypto Fear and Greed Index, if we actually look at the crypto bubbles, reiterate what I said, obviously majority of the stuff on the day is now massively red, and they're just pulling back from those run-ups they had. There's a few spots of green here: Phantom, GMT, and Zilliqa. So Zilliqa has given up majority of the gains that it did. It's probably one of the reasons it's still green. Like I said, I'm continuing to average into these positions. Rune's down 8% on the daily, which is a nice buying opportunity. Engine is down 5%, which is fantastic to see. Ripple has fallen another 6%. Luna, which I'll be covering more on in this video, down 5% on the daily. And Hedera as well, wherever it is, has obviously dropped a little bit. Like I said, continuing to average into that position, actually quite happy. There it is, 7.7%. Actually quite happy that Hedera has fallen another 7.5% on the daily. Just enables me to accumulate more before the DeFi goes live. That's more rewards for me when I stake, and potentially more rewards when the bull market really does come. Talking about Terra, and looking at the year to date or even the all-time charts, you can see that it's still trading roughly right at its all-time highs. It's pulled massively out of that channel that it fell into back in February, and has skyrocketed. And it's a project that I'm keeping my eye on because Do Kwon, one of the founding members of the Terra Luna project, is doing some very interesting things, which I covered on in previous videos. But to sort of re-emphasize what it was, is that they are effectively buying up and becoming one of the world's largest holders of Bitcoin, as they see Bitcoin being not only a traditional finance reserve currency, but also a decentralized finance reserve currency. And I see this as a very sort of innovative move for them in terms of backing their decentralized finance system on Terra via Bitcoin. It being seen as a store of value is just a very interesting and new way to do things. I quite like Terra Luna as an ecosystem for the decentralized projects that currently exist, and I will be looking to potentially average into this position. I do have some from a little while ago, very small position in terms of my portfolio size, but I may look to average back into this if it does pull back down on the news of what Do Kwon and his team are doing. So obviously looking at their main website, programmable money for the internet, spend, save and stake like never before. So obviously Terra is built on this very big, vibrant, smart contract and thriving decentralized environment. Very interesting place. And there's also some interesting stuff, the fact that Terra is sort of looking to become somewhat chain agnostic with their Terra Bridge system. So it's just a very interesting project in the kind of layer one space that again differentiates itself as just being a use case layer one system. Interesting project, and I will look to average into this position as it falls back. I think the price of Luna could just continue to soar going into the future, particularly as well if they're buying up tons of Bitcoin, and majority of their funds are backed by Bitcoin. The project's value could just continue to increase as they become a larger holder. Talking about that, the Luna Foundation's Bitcoin wallet is now nearing Tesla's stash. Bitcoin addresses the 29th largest wallet today, and they are getting very, very close to becoming one of the largest holders. As I mentioned, Do Kwon said they will be the largest holder behind Satoshi Nakamoto, obviously the original founder of Bitcoin. This just goes to show how much conviction they have about buying up Bitcoin and the potential of not only Bitcoin into the future, but the potential of the cryptocurrency space into the future. Just the fact that Bitcoin is the poster child of crypto and it attains a lot of the capital that flows into the market. Don't forget, even during these bear markets, even during the bull markets, Bitcoin dominance is still 35 to 40%, and during bear markets the Bitcoin dominance is way north of 50-60%. So i.e. 50-60% of all the money within crypto sits within Bitcoin during those bear markets. So it is a really big sort of safe haven in terms of store of value. Talking about Hedera, like I mentioned when we were looking at the crypto bubbles, just continuing to average into this position. You see some people here buy the dip. That's exactly what I'm doing at the moment. Obviously, you guys need to work out for yourself if that's something you want to do. However, I really do enjoy buying down at these levels, and it won't be long until we break out of that 25 to 26 cent range and we start pushing back towards these all-time highs that we saw towards the end of 2021 and the sort of beginning. We had a bit of pump during 2022 at the beginning. Obviously it's been a downward trend since sort of November of last year, but as I've said before, guys, once DeFi, DApps, decentralized exchanges, all of the fun stuff to the ecosystem comes, which it is because the Hedera Foundation has obviously just issued a $155 million fund for grant applications in order to develop on the system. Once it all launches in the coming weeks, obviously we've got staking in probably 7 to maybe 1 to 2 weeks away from now, staking will go live. This ecosystem is going to explode, and it won't even be funny. It will be the true definition of face melt season. You've then got a massive layer one scalable project with a big DeFi ecosystem to back it. And we're obviously very early to this. Talking about the Hedera ecosystem, another project that obviously I've spoken about numerous times on the channel that I'm just continuing to average into is obviously DOVU. So there's 1 million Canadian dollars of DOVU in total value locked already staked on the ecosystem, and they're only in beta testing. I think it's phase 2 of the beta testing, and there's only several hundred users currently on the platform, and they've already got $1 million of Canadian dollars. stakes over on the network. So this is an indication of what's to come once, for example, DOVU's full staking rollout goes live and Hedera's full staking rollout goes live. These total value locked figures are going to be massive, as there's this big incentive then for new money to flow into the Hedera ecosystem, because people can not only passively hold for the long term in terms of the future prospects of the project, but also passively earn income at the same time as whilst they do that. Really, really bullish stuff in general. Talking about the general crypto market as well, and why this pullback is healthy, and we are still looking to summer for a massive explosion in the crypto space. An $80 billion asset manager, WisdomTree, massive in the US equities market, has just launched a Solana, Cardano, and Polkadot ETP in Europe. So ETPs are exchange traded products, and the offerings are very similar to an exchange traded fund, so a basket of goods, here being Solana, Cardano, and Polkadot. Where traditional investors can buy these up on the exchanges in Europe. Now, what's really interesting about this is all three of these are blue chip altcoin projects. Cardano, Solana, and Polkadot. There's no Bitcoin or Ethereum inside this ETP. So we can already see that these large institutions are looking further afield than these Bitcoin and ETP exchange traded products and spot funds. They were already looking to the future of these other layer one and big technology solutions as to where they're going to be going in the future. And again, this is just another signal to show that, you know, this is where the money is flowing in, and there is clearly a big future for crypto when you've got asset managers worth 80 billion like WisdomTree launching these types of new products. Really bullish for the space in general. Talking about laws as well, touching on from what's just happened in India. Unfortunately, European Union lawmakers on Thursday backed tougher traceability rules for transfers of Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies, in a move the industry said would erode privacy, hinder innovation, and expose users to a higher risk of theft. The draft legislation, a part of a broader fight against money laundering and financial crime, would require crypto firms to collect and share data on transactions in a business that has thrived so far on anonymity. The $2.1 trillion crypto sector is still subject to patchy regulation across the world, but concerns that Bitcoin and its peers could upset financial stability and be used for criminal purposes have accelerated work by policymakers to bring sector to heel. Obviously, this is not incredibly bullish for the space in general. I have a differing opinion that actually regulation would be beneficial for crypto, providing that it's done in the correct manner. The correct regulation and legislation coming into place for the crypto sector would be very bullish in general, because it would enable further retail that are less inclined to invest into the space to enter the markets, right? As you may then see traditional banks, for example, and other financial institutions being able to offer the products because they are more regulated than they currently are. As it currently stands, a lot of banks are shunning crypto because of the lack of legislation, and I guess it opens them up to legal recourse if they offer products that aren't protected under any sort of means. So regulation in general would be very bullish. However, strenuous regulation like what we're seeing here and in India, for example, is not a great sign for the crypto markets in general. Hopefully that they start to wake up and sort of smell the coffee and realize that this is the wrong way to approach things in terms of stripping out privacy and stifling innovation. But we'll just watch this space as it continues to develop. Something that I want to touch on as well is a project that I think I covered many weeks ago now, which was VCCESS or Access, and they're talking about how they'll be shifting from being a chain agnostic. I never decided to invest into this platform in the end. They had some sort of NFTs that you could purchase, but it looked like the growth of the platform was quite stagnant. And they've mentioned here, which appears to be a bit of a shot at Hedera, saying that they would not be limited by the lack of support from the network to meet our growth. And there's a lot of people calling them out, saying that it's because they were denied for a HBAR Foundation grant, as well as the HBAR Foundation grants being locked up for 12 months. So there's potential here that Access could be some sort of cash grab scheme. Like I said, I never personally invested into it because the development for me wasn't really there, and the sort of ideas of the platform weren't something that I fully aligned to, but information nonetheless.
Lastly, another great exchange listing for Hedera has just come through. So Hedera's highly popular network is fast, cheap, and sustainable. So it's about time WU Network put it on the table. Users and institutional clients can now trade HBAR with zero fees on WUX. So this is just another exchange listing for Hedera, which again increases that volume and enables more and more people globally to purchase HBAR tokens, which is fantastic for the demand side of things. Anyway, guys, I'll leave you with this. We're still nowhere near the peak, something I've shown before. The confidence interval on CBBI is at 39 currently. Bitcoin price is obviously continuing to sort of trade sideways at the moment, but it's still up on an increase. My idea of the crypto run is still probably May to July time, somewhere around the summer periods, and we're going to have one hell of a journey. And I hope you guys will be here with me for when the Hedera ecosystem begins to take off. Anyway, guys, thank you very much for watching. Please make sure you're subscribed. I'll catch you on the next one. Cheers.